So, hello everybody. As I was saying earlier, I started off the campaign by using a by bringing the PCs into a situation where they had to explore a map. And for those of you who don't know how Roll20 works or how dynamic lighting in Roll20 works, I've decided to give you a brief demonstration. So essentially, this is what the player characters see when they first start. This icon, and this is now actually what the players see. They can, zoom in and out. This one down here, you needn't be afraid. That's just basically my own avatar that I've got in there because I'm also a player, just so that I can see things that the players see as well. So for the players, this is what presented itself to them. As you can see, this is the group, so I just took a random picture from Das Schwarze Auge, which represents 4 adventurers. It's not the type of adventures that we've got, but it doesn't matter really. So essentially they can stand there and then they can cast a light around them. So it's this one square is 1 meter. So they've got a diameter of 4 meters or a radius of 2, and it dims after the first meter. So as you can see, it kind of dims after that. So they can then move around, and as they move, they see more. So here you can see the graves that I was describing. So as they move around, the area more and more becomes visible. And this helps them kind of explore while not at the same time revealing everything in one go. Of course, there are other maps that I've got where everything is always visible. So for example, and I can show you what I see as the person running the game. This is going to take a little while because it needs to update. While they are moving the token around and only ever see as much as I allow them to see, because I've set the light to a radius of 2 meters, dimming after 1 meter. And you can see that this takes a good while. This is what I see. I see basically everything, and I can see where they are. I could also move them around if I wanted to, and of course then they would see their token move and the light adjust accordingly. So once they had explored the house, they were like, is there any light source in there? And I said, yeah, there are candles, there are some lanterns as well. So they lit up all of the different light sources in the house, and then I adjusted the light of this particular token. So I said, okay, it emits light for 5 meters and it dims after 4. And then what they saw was this. So it's now going to update again. Of course, for them, it doesn't make any difference. For them, it's instantaneous. But when I switch between the different views, of course, it has to update. And now you can see what that change did for them. Now they can see a lot more. So, and that of course makes it easier for them to play, because obviously they have seen the area. There is nothing new to explore. You don't want to pretend that it's not night, but you do want them to get the possibility of seeing more and of exploring more easily. And I also said that I had been using software called, and I actually don't know, I think it's called Dungeon Painter Studio, but you can get it on Steam. And I had been using that to create some of the maps. Some of these maps I took from the internet. So for example, the one that I was showing you just now, I took from the internet, but others I made myself. I don't know if I've got one of them here. So this one, for example, I took from the actual game, module from the Der Wolf von Winhall. So that is a map of the area. You've got Gratenfels down here and Winhall up here. You've got the river Tommel that I was telling you about, that they traveled along. So that's essentially how I prepared this game. I've got other maps as well. And but as you can also see, you can't have oh yeah, you can. So you could also have additional ones. I also had this one here, which is simply a forest for ambience. I haven't used this yet, but it is something that you can do, and you can also make a decision how visible stuff is. And it tells you here where the players are. So basically all of the players are in here. And you can basically skip around between those. This is just what I see. The players would still be seeing the other area that the player's token, as it were, is in. You can also split the party, which I find quite interesting as well. And you can make a decision as to how the visibility works on these. So, for example, here you can say you can say how big it is. You can say if you want dynamic lighting. You can say fog of war, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's globally lit, so everybody can see everything. There is no such thing as darkness here. So when you put the players into it, and I can show you this, at least it should work now. If I just drop the players in here, and then if I go to, this is what the players see. It'll update, and I should be seeing the same thing. And again, this is a picture that I took from the internet. Since I'm not broadcasting anything, and I'm just showing this to my players, while it is probably violating IP and stuff. Okay, they can't see anything. That's weird. I wonder why. They should be able to see this. Let's see why they can't see it. You know, this is sometimes quite interesting because I'm using this for the first time, and I'm working with this for the first time. So let's just remove this and say okay, and then check what they can see. And hopefully they can see it now. But I think that a Roll20 is actually quite a powerful tool, because what I also like about it is you have different types of character sheets, and for DSA 5 they have character sheets, which is very interesting, and as a result you can put in all of your, here we are, all of your values, and a character sheet looks like this. I'm just gonna give you this one. Just going to show you this one, and this contains everything that is in the DSA 5 character sheet, and it is it works like an automatic die roller as well. So you have different abilities, you have different types of weapons. All of this is automatically calculated, which is really, really good. Or most of it is automatically calculated, so that when you are, for example, fighting, you can just go, okay, well, I'm just going to attack. So you just click here and it'll roll the dice for you. And it actually was successful in this particular instance. So as you play, all of this is displayed. Everyone can see it, or you can also say, I just want to roll for myself. So for example, if somebody says, oh, I want to find out if the NPC I'm talking to is lying, then instead of them rolling the dice to see does this person lie and what is their empathy value. I can do it instead and not show them the result and then tell them, well, yeah, you think that he tells the truth. So that's quite handy. And it also takes a lot of load off new players' shoulders, because they don't really need to understand every single rule that they might need to know in order to play a certain character, because the character sheet automatically does a lot of it for them. And if you're a game master that has a group of 4, and these people, in my case, have used all kinds of different sources to build their characters. They've done it all online. None of them even have the rule book. But of course, there are different things that you can find on the wiki, etc. So they've built this character, and they sometimes have stuff that I have never heard about. And I'm like, well, I don't know how this works, but I don't need to know, because in the event that this comes to the fore in a fight or in an interaction, the character sheet in Roll20 will actually calculate it for me. And that is very, very helpful. So I can really recommend Roll20. Roll20, the way I'm using it, isn't free. In order to get dynamic lighting, in order to get the character vault, I pay $4.99 a month. That's not very much. But unlike, for example, Fantasy Grounds, you can also use Roll20 if no one has a license for it. Then you won't have access to all of the features, but you can have the dice roller, you can have the maps, and that all works. So it is something that isn't that expensive, and I can only recommend it. So that's all from me about Roll20, and I wish you a pleasant rest of the day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.